music is in here. The eyes have it.
Our journey has been steady from the advent. With crystal clear vision, we started off as a news online portal. We subsequently evolved into a magazine, and now on your radio. We do not only bear the name Media House. We practice with the best ethos of our professional calling, presenting facts with objectivity. We are committed and resolute. We are HallowMace. We are the standard bearers. It's HallowMace on radio, dedicated to promotion of legislature, democracy, and good governance. It's hot, interactive, educating, engaging, and entertaining. HallowMace on radio, Thursdays, 10 a.m. on Armed Forces Radio, 107.7 FM. HallowMace on radio. Parliament, brought to the people. Brought to the people.
Thank you for joining us on another interesting moment on HallowMace on radio. How you doing today? We're glad to be with you on this edition of the program. It is the first anniversary of the 10th Assembly. Check it out from the date 13th June 2024. Someone would want to say it's been a significant week for us. How do I know? At Democracy 1025 yesterday, and today the National Assembly celebrates her first anniversary. Would we want to start by saying congratulations to all of us, and someone would want to respond to that? But I intend to let you know that HallowMace on Radio is a program dedicated to the promotion of the legislature, democracy, and good governance in Nigeria and beyond. This edition promises to be engaging and informative as always. We intend to take a look at the economy of Nigeria. And someone says, how do you intend to come through with this? Despite having the largest economy in Africa, Nigeria faces a tumultuous economic outlook and low levels of inclusive development, with a life expectancy at birth for Nigerians hovering at 52.6 years. Today, the confluence of rising insecurity, galloping inflation, and diminishing productivity has plunged the nation into an economic quagmire. However, are the challenges before Nigeria surmountable? And what has been the role of the legislature thus far? These and more questions we will be seeking answers to on this edition of HallowMace on Radio. Our guest will be Senator Nwoko, of course, representing Delta North Senatorial District of Delta State. Still expecting him, but live with me now to start up engagement on the conversation is Comrade Solomon Adodo. He is the convener, Rising Hope for a United Nigeria. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me. Good morning, Nigerians, and God bless Nigeria.
Your name is one of the names that I've always taken seriously from the place of wisdom. If you're a spiritual person, you will say that anytime you hear the name Solomon, you know wisdom is being served. On this edition of the program, we're glad to have you join us. Would we start by saying happy anniversary to us in respect to our yesterday celebration of Nigeria 25 years? Maybe I should allow you to drop a democracy message. I was not with you here yesterday, but we are here today. We are patriotic Nigerians. What message would you have if you were on yesterday with me to commemorate Nigeria 25?
Well, we will say congratulations to Nigeria and to Nigerians for, we'll call it 4 years of unbroken democracy and the 25th democracy anniversary of Nigeria, the first being May 29, 1999. We have seen that through time, there have been issues, there have been concerns. I think around 2011 and 2015, there was this global scare where there were security reports that Nigeria's democracy is at serious threat. There were so many reports here and there. But we survived 2011, we survived 2015. We know periods when after elections there will be very serious riots and crisis. Up to 2019, we didn't experience such. And by 2023, we had a very smooth and seamless transition from one government to another with no lives lost significantly, as used to be the old order. So there was a time we used to call our democracy a nascent democracy. But you see, the democracy is gaining firm grip and standing more solid. What needs to be done is to look at other parameters of rapid development, triggering economic growth. And that is where this current government comes in. But more thankfully, with the aid, support, and cooperation of a very sound legislature, the 10th National Assembly, I will tell you, is a great blessing to Nigeria. So I believe we are set on an upward incline as a nation.
Quite an interesting submission made by Solomon there. He's a comrade. And just because you are joining us for the first time, we intend to make some definite statement. You heard him talk about the 10th National Assembly. It turned one today. In other words, June 13, 2023 was when this 10th National Assembly was inaugurated. If we would continue some more from a place of identification, what will be your message? They turned one today. And for me, with what you're saying, we're excited and happy with them. What can you say some more turning one after 365 days as National Assembly members?
Well, if we're looking at what the 10th Assembly has done in 1 year, you see, when you don't blow trumpets so much, people do not understand the essence of it. If you have security, every day you might not know that there are people who spend sleepless nights ensuring that the territory is secure, the military, the police, and the rest of them. It is in the midst of war you begin to appreciate more the military guys and the soldiers you have around. The same thing to the National Assembly. So many things have been averted. Things that would have set Nigeria on collision course, that could have put the country in flames and tatters, that would have set our economy backward. But you see, when this government, the Bible says when the righteous is in authority, the people will rejoice.
Very true.
President Tinubu is a man chosen by God to lead this country. And that is why he has been blessed with one of the best Senate presidents in the person of Senator Godswill Akpabio. If you recall, even before the presidential primaries of the APC, Senator Godswill Akpabio, as a man of foresight, knew that if Nigeria must move forward, because there are people who study the country, the cracks that are not visible to all, there are research teams doing work to see this is how they decline, this is how the rot is. And they know that there must be a rescue. And Senator Akpabio is one such person who saw into the future. And he was the first to step down for President Tinubu. And he said it categorically. This is the man to lead the country forward. Thankfully, as nature and divinity will have it, things carried. And Senator Akpabio is that person heading the 10th National Assembly as President of the Senate to support the President in moving these things forward. Now let's go to the main indices of the support, and I'll list some of them. Recall that following the military takeover in Niger, because leadership is a partnership thing.
Very well.
You need to consult. There are times when you need to seek advice. There are times when so many things will go beyond your control. And there was so much pressure on the president. Go to war against Niger, lead a war against Niger, but it took the wisdom of the Senate president to prevail. And the Nigerian National Assembly put down that proposition, and a war was averted. I want you to picture what it would have been like. Where we would have been. See the situation in Ukraine and Russia. There is no underdog in war. No matter how the underdog is, if it strikes somewhere, it will hit you very hard.
Very true.
Russia is making inroads, but Ukraine is really hitting hard at them also. And both of them are affected. You see, these are some of the things that the 10th National Assembly stood up for Nigerians for. And you see, when the National Assembly is in congruence with the executive, when the legislature is cooperating with the executive, people tend to think that the legislature has become a rubber stamp. That is an erroneous thought. Buildings, you must not build in the midst of chaos.
Very true.
It is not the fact that there is chaos that makes you think that progress is being recorded.
Very true.
You can build in harmony, you can build with synergy, you can build with total synchronicity so that everybody is working in tandem. So you see that at the point of this issue of going to war with Niger, the National Assembly took took a different stance from the executive. And the executive saw through the prisms of the National Assembly that in this factor, it is right and this is how it should be. So it has been a year of balance, a year of so many achievements, which time will not even suffice us to regale or rehash here. Look at the issue of the electricity tariff. The President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, in empathizing with the masses, but much more than even empathizing with the masses, he knew that this will set the citizenry against Mr. President. He said this should not stand. And the Senate ruled against an increase in electricity price tariff. And so many other factors.
Comrade Adodo, I'm looking at the concept of building that you talked about. As a matter of fact, on this edition, we want to beam our light more on the economy. And someone who is listening to us at the moment will feel that already you're giving so much credit to the 10th National Assembly. But would you talk to us in definite terms in respect to the performance of the Nigerian economy? Everybody understands the concept of hardship.
Yes.
And they tell you it's as a result of the performance of the economy. Are you comfortable with the way the economy is performing so far?
You see, we can't be more Catholic than the Pope. We have a captain of the ship, and that is the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR. And this president tells you clearly that Nigerians are going through hardship. He knows that the economy is biting. So we are at a point where the government is not hypocritical. The government is not playing the ostrich. So if you have a government that is not hiding behind the finger, but is saying, let us move as one to solve the problems of this country, then I can tell you that even if you are not 50% through with your problems, you have taken the step to overcome inertia. So you are at least 40% through with solving that problem. You are already at the pass mark. Having a leader who can stir up the people. I draw a parallel. When you look at Obama's book, The Audacity of Hope, I look at Mr. President and all I see is an audacity of courage. Because a lot of things have gone wrong with the Nigerian nation. From independence, successive leaders have come and gone. And they have not been able to take the bull by the horn, to make certain reforms, to take certain steps that will halt the rot and begin to revive or stir up a rebuilding process. No nation has advanced without making sacrifices. Under Gorbachev in Russia, then USSR, we had what we call perestroika and glasnost, the reforms that were needed for advancement. Look at our hero that we look at in Asia, Lee Kuan Yew, who moved Asia, Singapore from third world to first. Certain sacrifices were made, but beyond anything, the people had to be stirred up. So in 1 year, we cannot say that the economy is totally okay. But like Mr. President has said, there was a bleeding. What we should know is that the bleeding has ended.
Amen.
We are not saying the economy is now robust and strong. But now that the bleeding has ended, the healing has begun. So it is for us all. And I want to speak more particularly to young Nigerians and Nigerians of the middle-aged citizens. If you are challenged, the tendency will be for you to throw yourself into anarchy. Those enemies of the nation and of the government, fiendish entities who want to stir up controversies, who want to bring down the nation because they did not win election, they will want to come up. Please, the government has recorded steady progress. The Nigerian National Assembly has given the executive arm the needed legislative backing and cooperation. We are at the point. We have taxied on the runway. It is time for the flight to take off, and excellently so. So many programs are being brought up to stir up entrepreneurship, to move the youth from potentials to productivity. So many funds are out there. We have suffered all of the pains, and these pains have been as a result of decades of neglect. You cannot address all of this in 1 day or in 1 year.
Now,
but in 1 year, the president has stopped the bleeding.
I love this.
So let us, as citizens, have confidence. That is why the president said renewed hope, knowing very well that the hopes of Nigerians have been dashed over and over. But Mr. President said, for one last time, let us rise with renewed hope and build a great nation.
I'm loving how the conversation is going on Armed Forces Radio 107.7 FM. HallowMace live here with your cousin Bob Genesis, the Gospel Touch, Comrade Solomon Adodo, making some more submissions in respect to building the hope Nigerians have got to have. Now, while you talked, you came through with the concept of sacrifice. And that's one of the things that I feel we need to balance conversations live now on radio, because Nigerians might want to say, are you sure our leaders are actually sacrificing? Because they feel the cost of governance and the challenges that we have been going through as a moment, challenging the performance of the economy, and then it looks as if the inflation is high. Someone was with me yesterday. He wanted to buy ordinary tomatoes, sir, and 4 or 5 pieces was what we had to be sold for 1,000 naira. So for us, would you say that the sacrifice should just be on the citizens or those who are living and ruling us?
You see, sacrifices should come from everybody. But when we talk about this issue of sacrifices, I think that is not what we should be talking about. We should be talking about stirring up productivity. We should be talking... Nigeria has more than enough, even presently, to go round. We have vast lands and no food.
Very true.
So it is not to tell people to sacrifice that you should deprive yourself of a healthy meal. We deserve healthy meals. We deserve affordable food. So there are bases of sacrifice. What we should be talking about, and the pressure we also are mounting on government, is for government to open more estuaries of productivity, more opportunities and more avenues. There are vast lands, no food. We can grow crops there. If you talk about housing, we have cement, limestone deposits everywhere in the country. We have minerals all over the country to generate steel and build houses everywhere. You understand? There is so much that should go around. So our eyes should move away from the issue of talking about sacrifices always. They only sacrifice, if I will still take us to Mr. President. Mr. President is not saying that we should be sacrificing. Mr. President is saying that we should believe in the government and we should have hope and we should work together on something. Let it be clear. I speak with passion as a citizen who believes in this country and who knows that this country can grow. And who knows again that the current government gives that opportunity for growth to young Nigerians and middle-aged citizens. So it is not about sacrifices alone. It is about what are the low-hanging fruits we can pick up. Now, I will draw our attention to the campaign period. When Mr. President was speaking during campaign, it's unfortunate that quite a number of youths were making skits and mocking the president on many things. But if you look with hindsight, you will realize that the president had something. Now, our call on the president is to wake up and realize some of those things. One of the things that I keep reflecting is one of the statements where Mr. President spoke about recruit 50 million youth into the army. What they will eat, this, that. You see, he might not have put it very perfectly, but you see, we can get an army of young entrepreneurs in agriculture.
That's another one.
What are we talking about today? Demand and supply, meeting the needs of the citizenry. What are our basic needs? Most people cannot access food, and if we access food today, vast majority of the problems will be solved.
Very true.
On these farms where you can have an army of youth employed across the country according to comparative advantages, you will have some of them trained in woodwork, carpentry. You will have some of them trained in electrical works. You have some of them trained in plumbing and various other aspects. Have we not already recruited 50 million youths? Have we not already created the jobs? Have we not given them what to eat in the morning, afternoon, and evening? Whether you call it cassava, you call it rice, or you call it beans, we will grow it on our soil. We have created all of these things.
Now,
so the call, I know that the president will listen to this.
All right.
Let the president, as a matter of urgency, have a dialogue with the active citizens of Nigeria, which is the youth and the middle-aged citizens, people between the age of 18 to 29 that are the youth, and people from the age of 30 to 49 that are the middle-aged citizens, so that we can see how we can harness all of these energies and channel all of these things to productivity, so that the nation can be on an upward incline again.
Now, that's what we are looking out for. This is a non-partisan program, HallowMace on Radio, Armed Forces Radio, 107.7 FM. Comrade Solomon Adodo speaking on the way forward as we look at the Nigerian economy to get better. I told you that we are expecting Senator Nwoko. He just joined us now, is the senator representing Delta North Senatorial District of Delta State. Thank you for joining us, distinguished.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. I don't know, you had some traffic on the way?
You can say that again.
It's well with Nigeria. We're glad to have you. We've started conversations already. We intend to talk some more on the way Nigerian economy is performing so far. But I think that it would be good for us to give you an opportunity to speak to Nigerians. We turned 25 democratic wise yesterday. Any message for Nigerians?
Well, look, I wish everybody well.
Okay.
And I believe that Nigeria's economic growth, the foundation for economic growth, is yet to be laid.
Okay.
We need a structured plan for years that is consistently implemented with vigor and with all enthusiasm and without regard to any external influences.
Okay.
And I'll come to that detail later.
All right.
So we have a lot to do in Nigeria. We're a country that is blessed with human capacity, blessed with all the natural resources, as we all know, blessed with the best weather in the world almost, blessed with the most... we are the best location, with the Atlantic Ocean.
I heard this.
And with the creeks of the Niger Delta, and with the savannas of the northern part of Nigeria. We have no business being poor.
I heard this.
All we just need to do, in addition to what I've said, is also to look at the leakages. There's so much leakages, so much that people say, we don't have money, but we do have money.
Oh.
We do have things that could generate a lot of money. We just need to block those leakages and then need to focus on the way forward.
Now, I would have wanted us to start addressing some of these leakages. What do you think are some of these leakages that we have frustrating the economy? For you, the foundation has not been laid yet.
Yes.
And this administration would tell you that they've had so much in respect to policies that they feel should have been the best foundation laid so far.
Yeah. First of all, let me tell you, it is not the fault of this government, nor the fault of the
previous government
of Goodluck Jonathan or Buhari or Obasanjo, and as it were. It's historical.
Okay.
It is very historical. Let me just look at one big factor that is of huge concern for me, which is why I have taken it up on the floor of the Senate through a motion that was passed by all, supported by all, which was to investigate the crude oil thefts in Niger Delta. A lot is being stolen.
By Nigerians?
By all and sundry.
Okay.
There are different categories of thieves, both local and foreign. For example, amongst those creating part of the problems are the youths who are disenfranchised, who feel left out, who feel that the government doesn't care for them, and so they have to fend for themselves. And what do? They break pipelines in the hope of, stealing crude to refine them, locally under very crude environments and situation. And in the process, they cause a lot of leakages. They damage the environment. There are spillages everywhere. You go to the waters, all you see are crude everywhere, and so the fishermen cannot fish, and then you go to the farmers cannot farm, and it's a big problem. So apart from them, you also have the big time bunkerers. These are big time bunkerers who, in connivance with our authorities, with those who are in authority, steal massively.
The challenge.
They bring their vessels, load it would take them a day or 2 or 3 a week to load, depending on the size of the vessels. And when these vessels load, they also pass through the same security people that we put there, because they've all been compromised. There are some pipelines that are designed from the main pipelines. These pipelines go offshore. They run like hundreds of kilometers into the high seas.
Imagine.
Where crude is also stolen. And this cannot happen without the connivance, no knowledge, no acquiescence of the authorities. And look, let me tell you, if we save all this, Nigeria will be another El Dorado. Nigeria will be like the Dubais of this world.
I can't wait to have that distinguished. It's just that I'm looking at this motion. Would you think that it has actually been handled correctly in respect to the investigation of this crude oil theft? If you have sponsored a motion like that?
The motion was sponsored 4 months ago.
Okay.
And we are yet to embark on the investigations. All that we've done was to invite the stakeholders, who are the oil companies, both local and international ones, as well as the security agencies. We invited them just for one big meeting, and but nothing was achieved at that meeting, because from what we perceived, everybody was going to blame everybody.
Look at that.
Nobody
was going to take responsibility.
No, nobody. But we will eventually commence visitations to the various oil-producing locations or various suspected outlets where crude is stolen. I was in Delta 2 weeks ago. I spent 2 weeks there touring my senatorial district. There are 11 oil-producing communities, and there are 9 big oil refining, crude and gas plants, and I visited all of them.
Wow.
I visited all of them. I had interactions with them just to know firsthand what their problems are. I couldn't just keep waiting for the official visit by the committee on crude oil theft. So I took this upon myself.
Interesting.
To visit the various companies, and lo and behold, I was quite happy that I did, because I met with a lot of the communities who are they're all grumbling.
Look at that.
None that I could recall is happy with the oil companies. None. But they're all complaining about the social responsibility failures of the various companies. And the meetings actually took place with the communities and the oil companies together. I brought them together. And as a matter of fact, some of the communities say, look, most of these companies don't want to see us. We have no access to them. And, something else that really bothered me was the level of environmental degradation. I saw spillages in my senatorial district, and there are no apparent efforts to clean them up. And these are the communities where most of them were farmers before now, but they can't farm anymore.
Quite a challenge.
They can't farm anymore. They can't fish anymore, and governments generally are irresponsible in Nigeria. You know, so you start asking yourself, you know, who is going to take care of these people? Who is going to provide for them? You know, in other societies, government provides for those who are unemployed. For example, those who are vulnerable, those who are disabled, those who are out of job for whatever reason. Government provides support through income support. That's a structured, determined and defined financial support for those who need them.
Now, distinguished, is it?
And no,
I appreciate.
Let me just finish. You know, for those, because this is very important for Nigerians. You know, they must understand how it works elsewhere for them to begin to understand that they are really on their own in Nigeria. Because I'm just talking about communities, my communities in Delta North. Nobody is there for them.
Look at that.
And what they have, the natural environment they had to farm and fish have been destroyed. And so give these guys tomorrow take up arms. You say, who are you? Stop that. You know, you are a criminal. No, they're not criminals. They're trying to survive. They are, you know, the oil companies are not doing much. There was deliberate. In fact, the only two companies that I saw that have managed to stop gas flaring, for example. It's like a major environmental issue. The other companies, they have no plans. And so they have huge pipes, you know, where you have the gas being flared, and you can feel the heat. You can feel this. You can smell it. You know that this is bad for the health. You know that a lot of cancerous illnesses emanate from this. So there are many problems.
Distinguished, I understand the passion at which you are addressing this. I think that at this point I would want the listener to get involved with us on conversations. I would still be taking you some more on some of the responsibilities that government is supposed to do. Because for us, you're part of government, being that you are a member, one of our National Assembly members.
Yes.
And from the perspective of being a distinguished, I see quite a number of motions that you've sponsored. Over 20, I was trying to take a look at them. But let's see if we can involve... Bills, yes. Motions and bills that you've handled. 0909-752-9699 is the number for you to call. While Comrade Solomon Adodo was talking, quite a number of friends were calling, but this is the time at which Cousin intends that you take your 60 seconds and let's hear you make your contributions should you have questions to ask. Our challenge is that we're not happy with the way the economy is performing as it is. 0909-752-9699 is the number for you to call. Now, Comrade Adodo, while you were talking, quite a number of people were calling me because you were very passionate and very satisfied with the performance of this administration at one. And while the distinguished was speaking, you would possibly want to make sense from what he is saying. For him, government is not responsible in taking some of the needs of Nigerians into cognizance from some of the pictures he's painting in his own constituency. 0909-752-9699 is the number for you to call. Again, 0909-752-9699. What HallowMace intends to drive is the concept of good governance. And we are happy that the 10th National Assembly is one today. We're so happy about that. Would you want to react to some of the submissions made by the distinguished? Because I'm looking at it and I'm feeling we need to balance conversations. Nigerians should be happy to be called Nigerians. Quite a number of people are leaving the country. Who will want to talk?
Now, let's make it clear. Our distinguished senator did not say that the government has failed. If you look, because I paid keen attention, there has been, just like I said, from independence, decades of neglect, things we have not attended to. Now, we are looking at 1 year of the 10th Assembly, and he is telling you that as a senator, I have taken responsibility in my niche, in my own senatorial district. I have gone even ahead to look at the problems, identify them, so that we can sit together with the executive in congruence, not at loggerheads. So let's put that very clear. The goal is to arrive at a solution. Now, I followed the motion on the issue of crude oil theft, and we have also done quite a number of things. I've been on several TV stations, Arise channels, TVC, to look at this issue and what the Senate has done on that. Now, a discerning mind would tell you that when these people are trying to pass the buck from here, push the blame to that place, the Senate, the 10th Senate, is a very logical Senate. So you can see that he went ahead to even check out the problem.
Not waiting for the committee.
The committee will also do their findings so that whatever comes out, they can meet with the executive. Who is supposed to be in charge of this? On the issue of gas flaring, what should we do so that gas flaring stops? We can convert some of these things to household gas for cooking and so on and so forth, and quite a number of other factors. Remember, I told you that the president himself, who is the leader of this nation and the commander-in-chief, he has not feigned ignorance. He has not said that things are perfect. He doesn't play the ostrich. What we are saying is, Nigerians, there are challenges, but in the midst of these challenges, we are at the gate of opportunities. And the legislature or the Senate and the House of Representatives as a whole, they are ready to partner with the government. With the executive, where things are not being gotten right, they draw their attention. What we are looking at is that a legislature that has had a departure from the hitherto chaos that has been associated, where you want to prove that you are this or you are that. Look at the logic that our distinguished senator has employed. Going to identify the needs, going to talk to the youth of that area, and then involving them, a kind of bottom-up approach. And that is what a vast majority of the senators are doing.
It's okay.
So we are on course. We are not where we should be. But my call to Nigerians is that we must rise as one. We must confront this systemic challenge. It is not an issue of passing blames from here to there. It is not an issue of saying, since my candidate failed, then let Nigeria as a nation fail.
I wish that you can get involved in this conversation, cousin. If you're listening to us live on Armed Forces Radio 107.7 FM, the numbers are 0909 752 9699 for you to ask your question. I have the distinguished senator with us in the building, one of our legislators. Good morning, cousin.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you for joining us. Your name and where you're calling from, please.
My name is Mr. Aleke. I'm calling from Florida.
Go on, please. 60 seconds.
Right. The issue now is we Nigerians were tired about promises upon promises. We want to see a government that is working where everything is at least fixed up, not 100% though, but we see a workable plan that everybody, even the child, will know that if you follow this way, this is where we're heading to. But we have had a lot of promise from every government that we are working things out, and sometimes those people working with the government, when they are out of the government, they will be the ones criticizing the government and the policies that they were the one preaching about and all that. So we are tired of hearing those preaching. We want a workable track that everybody knows that this is the end result.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
As we are now, I don't think we have that at hand now.
It's okay. Thank you so much, caller. I appreciate you. With the want of time, 0909 752 9699. Distinguished, I realize you have so much interest about education, health, environment, and these are some of the legislative interests that you have always had. And today we're looking at the economy with some of the pictures you've painted. Someone would say, before the committee gets to your locality, what would you think is the ideal thing that we need to do to be able to save the environment?
Look, the average Nigerian is not concerned really about the environment, as much as people are abroad, because they are still preoccupied with their daily needs.
Very true.
They are still preoccupied with their daily needs. There's a lot that can be done, but it has to start with government policies. For example, I mentioned about the oil spillages that I saw. There has to be a cleanup.
Very important.
Immediately. Otherwise, it gets worse and worse. But let me just go back to what my honorable said about systemic problems in Nigeria. As I said from the beginning, I am not blaming any government, not this, and not certainly those from 1999. As I said, they were all historical. Let me just focus on one area.
Okay.
We're talking about economy.
Very true.
Yes, Nigeria became an independent nation politically, but we are not economically independent. We are tied to so many foreign interests that control and manipulate the way things are run in Nigeria. And until we become economically independent, we're not going to make much progress. Let me just look at some areas. We are not manufacturing. We are not producing. So we need to make it possible. Government, when I say we, government has to make it possible through very pragmatic policies for manufacturers and producers to be tasked with the responsibility of manufacturing. And this will be possible only, for example, where the banks are functioning well, where they can borrow at very reduced interest rate. And this also possible where we are able to stop importation of many items, including the ones we can produce here. So there has to be a policy that stops importation of virtually all the goods, except those ones that are critically essential, like medical things, that we cannot produce, but we can produce anything.
Now, distinguished, this is audience participatory. I want you to have reactions from some of your listeners. Let's see if we can talk to this cousin. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing today?
We're very well. Your name and where you're calling, please.
Thank you. My name is Emmanuel, Fisher President. I'm calling from Duse.
Go ahead, Emmanuel. You have 60 seconds.
Thank you. My regard to your two guests in the house. They've spoken well, but my point is on the other guest, the first guest you had a conversation with before Senator Ned came in. When someone is praising a government, at least you should have a holistic point that you can kind of bring it out for people to see. What actually have they achieved that you can stand boldly and say this is what they have done in 1 year? And I listened to one comment, he said that we can't judge this government under 1 year. Is it when their tenure is over that you will continue to judge? We have to put them on their toes. They need to do the right thing.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel.
When Nigerians are not happy, everybody is complaining price of goods and services are too high. Nobody can lay hands on anything.
Now, Emmanuel, 60 seconds.
Tell Nigerians that the government is performing.
No, Emmanuel, 60 seconds. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. We have 60 seconds. Let's see if we can handle the timing correctly because we have a limited time. We have just less than 15 minutes to be done with this conversation. I would have allowed you immediately to react to him, but let's just give you possibly 60 seconds to talk to him because for him, you're praising the government when Nigerians are seeing hunger everywhere.
I'm not praising the government. Okay. Even the president that is the head of the government is not praising the government. The president is also not happy with what is happening. You understand? We all realize that there are challenges. What we are saying is that the government has made significant strides in halting the rot that was building before now.
Okay.
And we should, as citizens, begin to identify estuaries of opportunities. Thank God you did your own research on distinguished...
We'll talk some more. I have a limited time. Let me see if we can engage 3 or 4 more callers and then we're done. Good morning, cousin.
Hello, good morning. This is Rashid.
Rafael, calling from where now?
Rashid calling from Jua in Abuja.
Okay, Rashid, go on. 60 seconds, please.
Okay. My reaction to your guest was that Nigeria are not economically free.
Independent, yes.
But the foreign interests are playing a major role in our economic performances.
Yeah.
We have all what it takes to become economically free. Go to all local government in Nigeria, all secretariat in Nigeria, you will see a tractor lying down. And Nigeria has abundance of arable land that can produce agriculture, any agricultural produce you think about. And our youth are there, unemployment. So what is government doing over that? Even a Senate, a member of House Assembly can sponsor a deal on that. And Nigeria tractors, machinery that are bought with taxpayer money are there doing nothing.
Okay.
But every year we'll be complaining of unemployment. We have what it takes to employ ourselves to make our economic.
Thank you, Rashid. Your 60 seconds done already, and you've made your point. I suppose we can have reactions, but I wish I can take 2 or 3 callers back to back so that I don't have interference when the distinguished is reacting. But let's see. While you spoke, you were conceptualizing conversation around Nigerian economy not being free from foreign influences. Yes. And this caller is coming on that background.
Yeah, let me also expand on that. Nigeria is the only nation that I know where foreign currencies are traded in the official market, as it were, and in the black market. This is an anomaly. It is not done anywhere. You cannot just imagine that your crude oil, your gas, and whatever else we export are all paid for in dollars. In other words, nobody knows about our currency, Naira, beyond Nigeria.
Distinguished, I read about one of your submissions on Vanguard.
This is very critical
Yes.
for the economic growth for the economic independence of Nigeria. If we really want to be economically an independent nation, then we must put our Naira at the forefront. We must be able to get our Naira to be globally recognized and traded. But that is not happening because those who were before us many, many years ago, decades ago, agreed to do some things wrongly. The first one they did was to have our foreign exchange account in a bank in America, 2 banks in America. That is wrong. We must have our foreign exchange account run by CBN. We must have that account here in Nigeria, controlled by CBN. And when that money shouldn't just be there, dormant, that money should be borrowed to banks who in turn will borrow it to consumers. And in the process, we can control or have an affordable interest of no more than 4%. If we're talking about producers or manufacturers, there's nobody who can function effectively if you're borrowing at 25%, 26%. It just does not make any sense.
Absolutely.
So that is just one. But secondly, we have to prohibit the use of foreign currencies in Nigeria. This is actually the root of our problems economically. Because you see people who come to buy crude oil, they buy in dollars, isn't it?
Currency, yeah.
And then it goes to CBN. And then CBN now decides to sell those dollars to banks through official rate, and then they have the black market rate. So CBN, or the federal government of Nigeria, is supporting and promoting illegality by accepting that there is black market.
Look at that.
And why should that be? Look, if we prohibit the use of foreign currencies in Nigeria, foreign workers, and all foreign workers, not just one, all foreign workers, and there are thousands of them, they're all paid in foreign currencies. All of them. And they don't open an account in Nigeria to receive those money. The accounts are in their home countries, so they simply source for foreign currency through CBN, and those payments are sent directly to their accounts in their country. They could be British companies or American or Chinese or whatever it is, but that leaves a lot of gap in the economy. Apart from the fact that is discriminatory on its own, because you can't go to Russia, for instance, and say you are a foreigner, so it's a Russian, and you are paid in different currencies. Everybody is paid in the same currency. In UK, everybody is paid in pounds. In America, everybody is paid in dollars. You go to Europe, everybody paid in euro.
Nigeria should have that concept too.
Of course, yes.
I heard that. Now, we'll begin to wind up conversations because we have a limited time. I know what it means to talk to Nigerians today. I told you earlier, the concept of hunger is something we cannot negotiate for. So someone is assessing the government at 1 and is telling you, are you sure that Comrade Solomon understands the pains Nigerians are going through? Would you feel that is not enough for us to question the performance of this administration? Are they aware? Because if Mr. President has consistently said we are aware of the hardship, I think it's high time we have workable actions that will address this hardship. Don't you think so?
Well, I will tell you very clearly that there are workable actions already. And Nigerians, particularly the youth and the middle-aged citizens, should put their ears to the ground to identify these estuaries of opportunities that are out there. Funds that have been brought up, the Nigerian Youth Investment Fund has been expanded. There are funds for the CNG project. How can we key into all of these things? we have a government that disembowels itself and looks introspectively to check. The distinguished senator here is a member of the government, but you can see him criticizing some things that need to be looked at. And that's what we've seen in the Senate, or the 10th Assembly under His Excellency Senator Godswill Akpabio. A Senate that carries a mirror to reflect what are the challenges facing Nigerians and how can we address them. One significant factor that I'll also point out on this program, because you have a vast audience or listenership.
Very well.
The issue of disunity, where you have people rising up to criticize. Some even criticize government because they feel the president is not from where they want the president to be from. And we saw what reared its ugly head up in the Senate some time ago, where we were having an issue of Northern Senators for Room and Southern Senators for Room. And we saw the master stroke that the Senate president played. And today, he has proven that the Senate is a united entity and the National Assembly is a united entity. We have the Nigerian Senate, not the Northern or Southern Senate. And looking at issues of the economy very clearly, I was making a point before you caught me in there. You did your research on Senator Nwoko. And if you do your research very well, you realize that in his constituency, there are projects that he has initiated. So you have a Senate or a legislature that is looking at the microcosm of the nation. What are the micro challenges at that level? So we are not just looking up, we're also looking below. How do we take the bottom-up approach to pick up the potentials of young people and harness its potentials to productivity? How do we avert a crisis that is looming? Because the issue of hunger is a crisis that is looming. So we know that there are challenges. And what I am saying as a leader of young Nigerians, heading over 100 million Nigerian youth, is that this government is ready to bring solutions and has begun to bring solutions.
Interesting.
We will be engaging with the youth. We have series of programs that are outlined, and we are going to the grassroots all across the nation. We'll be partnering with the Senate. We'll be partnering with all the relevant bodies of government. We are already engaging with the Nigerian military in partnership, so that security is the bedrock of any national development you can think of. If there's chaos or enemy, you cannot even have development. So there's quite a whole lot, and we want to inspire Nigerian youth to rise up, believe in this country, partner with Mr. President, partner with the President of the Senate, and let us take one little blow against the problems or challenges confronting Nigeria.
We're commemorating the 10th Assembly, National Assembly at 1, and my producer just told me that we've been given 10 minutes extra. Let's see if we can utilize that correctly, even though we would have been wrapping up by now. So I'm looking at what we intend to achieve with the remaining 10 minutes in our hands. Listener, you can ask your questions or make your contributions on 0909 752 9699. You've been in the National Assembly since 1999, and someone would want to hear you talk, because for me, until a layman has the understanding that he goes to the market with his 500 naira and he has value for it, he will not be satisfied with whatever it is government is doing. After all, it's about the welfare of the people. So I'm looking at what you would tell us in respect to the performance of the Nigerian economy in this past 1 year of this administration. Do you think that this administration has the political will to address these challenges that we have seen?
First of all, let me correct some misconception that I've been in National Assembly since 1999. No, I haven't. I was in House of Reps between 1999 and 2003. And then I just returned last year.
Okay.
So
it's not a bad...
I've been a businessman all these years. Doing my thing privately as a lawyer in UK and all that, you know. To your question, 1 year is too short a time to judge anybody.
Okay.
You know, 1 year. Governance is not something that is that you just, you know, plot a graph and then it all works out. You know, what I have seen is that we have a president who is bold and can take those steps that could address the myriad of problems. But it is just too short a time to judge anybody. It is. You know,
365 days.
Yes, it
Some
is.
people have died.
Oh, well, even as we talk now, people are dying. You know, people die every day.
I know.
You know? But look, the average Nigerian is not interested in such judgments.
Absolutely.
What they want are jobs. So are we creating jobs? What they want is security, so that they can go to their farms and farm without being killed, without being raped, you know, or where you have fishing communities that they can go to the waters to fish without the pollutions, you know, spillages from oil. I mean, I'm talking with particular reference to my own senatorial district.
I should know, cousin. Yeah.
Where you don't have spillages up north, you know, and all that. So, look, as I said before, and I'll keep going back to that, we need a plan that will be implemented over time. Economic plan. Economic plan that is devoid of manipulations or controls by the World Bank or IMF. You know? Okay. And just as I was saying before, you know, I mentioned the domiciliation of our foreign reserve account, you know, in a foreign country. America have their own foreign reserve. Where is it domiciled? In America. Where is the one for Britain? It's in Britain. Where's the one for China? It's in China. Where's the one for France? Even the one for Morocco is in Morocco.
Look at that.
So we have to start to grow ourselves. We must make those policies that will, you know, ensure that we are economically independent must be pursued. And for me, the foundation for that is to make sure that we have our producers and our manufacturers in all corners of Nigeria being able to do what they know how to do best, but with the help of government in the sense that banks should be able to lend at an affordable rate. If people are not borrowing, I don't know how many people in this studio can walk into a bank and get a facility. The banks are not interested in lending to consumers. And if you don't have a consumer credit economy, you have nothing. Really, you have nothing.
I'm looking at the consumer production. Maybe I should engage on this. You are a lawmaker. Some Nigerians have felt so sad when we came in 29 May last year and the declaration was subsidy is gone. In your location, you know there are individuals that have done illegal bunkering and all of that. Someone is looking at the concept of finding solutions to these challenges, because for me, if it's about production, there are technological advancements, some expertise that these young men are on with. Why is it that it's not easy to have these people empowered so that we have some of this production in respect to oil now specifically? Can we do that?
We can, but there are so many self-interests.
Okay.
You know, and conspiracies amongst those key players who are, you know, they would do anything to, you know, monopolize an industry because it benefits them. They're not thinking about the people. They're not thinking about the youths. You know, yes, you're right. You know, we have so many youths who are very creative, who are very, very good in so many areas. You know, all they just need is some support. Just some support to be able to blossom, be able to, you know, create the opportunities that they want to create, and even also engage other youths in the process. So it all boils down to planning. You know, there has to be, look, we can summarize as follows.
Okay.
We are not lending. We're not lending because the banks are not interested in lending. This is the traditional business of banking, lending. Anywhere in the world is lending.
Why are they not interested in lending?
Because they are able to manipulate and buy dollars from CBN, and they make so much profits from selling dollars.
Should we have a law that should be enacted to help this?
I do have.
Okay.
I do have a bill on that.
Okay.
So that's why I'm talking about the prohibition of the use of foreign currencies in Nigeria. Okay. When that is done, the banks will be compelled to go back to traditional banking, and the government will be able to cap interest to say 4-5%, and then you see people going to banks to borrow.
Okay.
But of course, there are also the problems with that, because maybe the average banker will tell you, okay, you know what, we don't have records. There are no statistics. How do we secure such lending? So the records database of Nigerians must also be updated. They must be reliable and dependable and verifiable.
Okay.
Where you come from, Medugri, but there's no record of who you are. It's a problem.
It is still HallowMace on radio here on Armed Forces Radio 107.7 FM. Distinguished Senator Nwoko there speaking and hoping that we are able to have solutions to some of these challenges. My producer is telling me we have just 5 minutes to go. 0909-752-9699. I want to balance it so that you don't get angry with cousin. After addition of time, you didn't allow me to make my own point. Come on, 0909-752-9699. Good morning. You're going to be the last caller today. Turn it down, please. Turn it down.
Good morning. My name is Mr. Brown. I'm calling from Kudu.
Turn it down.
I've been listening to the program right from morning, but I think the problem we have here is just two things: the micro and the macro. And the macro sense of it is that people crying here and there. We are talking of Nigerian currency. We use other countries using our Nigerian currency here. So we should take a look at China. China during the Hiroshima bomb, they went into 30 years economic industrialization, and they had it best. And today, look at what they are enjoying it everywhere. No money goes there except the money they use.
Yeah.
Now we are talking of bandits, people who go to steal our oil. The solution is that we need refineries. We are talking of hunger. Tackle security, so that the farmers support the farm.
Thank you so much, cousin.
So that people can stop hungry, then get enough fuel in the country.
Thank you so much.
We want to say, I want to tackle transport. No, it won't.
It's okay.
That's a macro problem.
Thank you so much. He just made his point now from Kubo. I couldn't establish a name. Let's wind up. Just 60 seconds to have you wrapping up on this edition. You still want me to take... My producer is insisting answer. I'm looking at my time. We have to add an addition today. Let's have Comrade Solomon Adodo wrap up for us. Your final words as we leave the studio. The 10th one anniversary today. We're happy to be still enjoying democracy. Let's hear you talk.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. We've searched everywhere, and now that we are about to land, the focus is on the 10th National Assembly. And I want to say one thing. Senate President Godwin Akpabio is a man of foresight. And when he ran for Senate President, he ran under the mantra of stability. What we have seen in the Nigerian National Assembly has been a very stable National Assembly, devoid of the rancors that have been associated with the past. This is very commendable. Again, the Senate President has been able to inspire leadership, and you can see that the whole of the Senate, they are moving with one vision. How can we trickle development to the grassroots? How can we carry the citizens along? How can we truly represent the masses?
Interesting.
Like they say, you have heard from the horse's mouth. Let us use our senator that is here in the studio with us as an exemplar.
Yes, okay.
We have picked one randomly, and you have seen that bills have been sponsored, motions have been moved, projects have been initiated. It is now a clear case of a legislature that does not look at the executive as an antagonist, but as a partner that should be supported in addressing the challenges of Nigerians.
Comrade.
And I want to call on the third leg of that stool, which is the citizenry. And this is the part that we are marshalling and raising to bring to that table,
Comrade.
so that we can build the great Nigeria of our dreams.
I just had an amen on that. Comrade, we will still have you here. You have a lot to say. I think that we will need 2 hours on HallowMace on radio. Maybe I might make definite statements to let the distinguished know that Nigerians are happy. I'm seeing text messages coming through with what you have done. Yesterday, while I was on, I could read a conversation about 24 senators that have not done anything in respect to bills or motions. But for you, it's in 20s that we've had that. We must appreciate your conversation some more with us today on HallowMace on radio. But let's see if we can wrap up by your final words to Nigerians, because you are a philanthropist. We can't take that for granted. And for me, it's one of the things that Nigerians are looking out for, to see a government that will always take the welfare of its citizens at heart. Final words, please.
Well, look, we are happy to be alive today. And whoever is alive today should be thankful to God.
Very well.
You know, and I do hope that as a government we are able to, implement those policies that will turn things around.
Amen.
You know, I just hope, because things are not really what they ought to be. But just like he said, at the Senate, we are non-partisan. From day one, we agreed with the leadership of the Senate that we're going to work for Nigerians. We're not going to talk about party politics. As a matter of fact, virtually every bill that the president has brought to us has been passed seamlessly.
Interesting.
It was only one particular time that he sought an authority from us that we said no. That was when he was seeking for authority to position our military on the borders with Niger Republic, with maybe a view to invading another African country. We said no. Across party lines, APC, PDP, Labour, we all said no. So this assembly is actually focused on the well-being of Nigerians. Anything that we need to do, we'll do it.
Interesting. A good place to stop our conversation with you today with an addition of 10 minutes, maybe because it's the 10th National Assembly, who knows? We'll have more times with you. Cousin on Radio remains my name. We must appreciate the distinguished Senator Ned Nwoko, one of our own. We should say that in passionate words. Yeah. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Comrade, I promise you that HallowMace will bring you again. You have a lot to say. I still have some more questions for you, but I think that in our subsequent moment, we are done with the countdown now. Next week, we should be involving you, if we can, for more conversation. I hope you will oblige us.
Always here for Nigeria.
Cousin on Radio remains my name. I'm being intentional with that intimacy with you. Cousin, till next week, 10 a.m., we will be back on HallowMace on Radio. Good morning.